Hey guys, I'm so excited to be with you today. Have you ever wondered if it's possible for you to take up a picture and turn it from this to this? Let's see how it goes. Alright guys, I know this is going to be a long tutorial, and in this set you're going to be looking at how we can make use of camera calibration to turn a still picture into a 3D model that we are going to model on and try and put in our assets. So in this tutorial I'm going to be adding my assets into the still picture that you saw rather, and try to build my own scene. So if you have your still picture, if you have your assets, you can also follow along and add into your assets into the tutorial. By the way, I'm going to put in the description links to where I got this image from, so you could just download from that site and you can follow along. It's not really a large file, and I hope this tutorial is going to be an exciting one for you. So without further ado, let's get into the tutorial and start up. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is to bring in our camera into the scene. So I'm going to click on the camera. So as soon as I have the camera clicked, I'm going to look through the camera by clicking on this icon, then right click on the camera, go to Cinema 4D tag. We're going to see camera calibrator. So click on camera calibrator, then add the tag to the camera. So what I'm going to do is go into the image tab of the camera calibrator tag. Then it's asking me for the image that I want to work on. So like I said, we're going to be looking at a still image and try and model it and turn it to a 3D model. So I have my apartment here, so this is what we're going to be working on. So the first thing is I'm going to right click on this apartment, go to the properties, then go to the detail. I need us to see this information, this detail, because we're going to add it into our project settings. So this could be here. So I'm going to drag this image into my image section. As soon as I do that, that will be added here. You can already see the image here, but now if you see, I can't navigate. Moving doesn't change this object, so I need to first off, before doing anything, I need to first off change frame default. Alright, sorry about that. So I need to first off change the setting of my project setting. So I'll go to my render setting, then come into this section where I have my output. So I'm going to look at this information. So I have 2590 by 3885, so it's going to be 2590 by 3885. So I'm going to log this ratio. So as soon as I do that, the image comes in its full resolution and full size. So what I'm going to do is, that is the first thing. So before coming to this calibrator, this is not the camera calibrator tutorial, so I will not go in detail to this, but I'm going to be touching some things that I'll be changing here. So I'm going to be working with image size and full size. Then this is to change the opacity of this image, but really we don't need the opacity, so I'm going to bring this back to 100. So what I'm going to do is to go to the calibrate tab. Then I have three buttons there. I have add lines, add grid, and add pin. Now adding line and adding grid do the same thing, just the difference is that adding line allows you to add each of these axes individually, but for grid you can add two axes at the same time. So but I really like making use of adding line myself. So if I click on add line, it adds the line into my scene. Then I will try and navigate to get a particular axis. So right now the first axis I want to get is the y axis on this image. So I'm trying to get the y-axis of the image. Now the error I usually, or the mistake I usually make when I started doing camera calibration was I tried to eyeball with at this particular size given to me, and most of the time I miss it. So what I learned over time is to zoom into this. So if I'm to use this normal zooming, it doesn't work. So how can I zoom into the image that I've added into this calibrator? There is a section here coming to the image that will allow me scale this object up. You can see that, but there is a shortcut for that, so I can use that shortcut instead of coming to this section. So for me to get back to my full image, all I need to just click on this full image, then I'm back there. So talking about the shortcut, for me to use the shortcut, just hold down your Control and Shift, then right mouse button will allow you zoom in. Then for you to pan, hold down your Control and Shift and your left mouse button. So I'm panning with my left mouse button and I'm zooming in with my right mouse button. Make sure you hold down your Control and Shift together. So you can already see that this image is, this point is not right, so I need to zoom in here and put it rightly, then zoom out and try and get to this location. Alright, you can see that this is not accurate, so zooming into this image also helps to make your image accurate. So I'm going to get back to this calibrator, also the discalibrate. Now as I'll be changing this information, there are things that will be, I'm going to be having a feedback here, and once I get there, so you understand. So let me go back to full size. So I'm done with this first line. I think I should bring this down so I can have the full length of this. So I can bring this down here. Alright, so for me to identify or to specify what axis I want to turn this line to, I have to hold down my shift key on my keyboard, then click, shift click. So the first time I click, I'm going to have the red axis. You can see that. The next time I click, I'm going to have the green axis, and the next I have the blue axis. But don't forget, this is meant to be my y axis, so I'll click several times until I have the y axis. So I have that. So for me to do this next one, I could just come back, click on add line, then go to the point and start working on that. Now you can select a line and also delete a line. So if I click on delete line, it deletes the line that I have selected, but I'm not going to be creating more lines. I can just copy this. So for me to copy this line, hold down Control and drag, then you have that line copied. So doing this would tell Cinema 4D that I still want to keep the axis, so it's still going to be the y axis, but so I need to start changing the location where I want this to be. So I'm also going to zoom into this place and try to get it right and accurate for myself. So I have that pan down for me to get the top part of this. So this really takes time, you can already see. So if you are trying to do that at the initial normal size, you will run into error. So once you have that, you can come back to this image and full size. You're back to full size. So what I usually do is I try as much as to have 3 axis line for each of these axes for me to be sure of. For me to be sure that what I'm doing is accurate. So 2 is not enough for me because I have y. I still have another one here, so I need to have a third one then bring the third one here. And there is something I need you to look at. As I'm changing this information, you're going to be seeing a value here, solve value. Now this solve value will tell you how accurate your information is. So how it works is, the lower the value, the more accurate it is. The higher the value, the less accurate it is. So you will try to solve this such that you have a very low value here. Alright, so I'll need to zoom in, and as I'm doing this, I also look at the values I'm getting. Okay, so that is 0.7. I think we can get better than that. So if I zoom this, bring it here, I have 0.001. so this is, I can't get less than this, so I think this is good. So I will zoom out. I am done with my y-axis. I have solved my y vanishing point. So the next thing is I need to solve for my x. So I'm going to create a new line, then start solving for this. So I'm going to bring this x here. This is where I want my x-axis to be. So I'm going to zoom into this place, pan down. Don't forget, you hold down your shift and control, then use your left mouse and your right mouse to pan and to zoom. So this is okay. Let me just use this point, then this will be here. So after doing that, I need to specify what axis this is. So shift and click, this is red, so this is going to be my x-axis, but I don't have any information for x-axis because the software cannot solve with just one point, so it solves with from 2 points upward. So I need to do the same thing here, just copy what I have here. So control and drag this down to have a copy. So I'm going to have a copy here, bring this up here. So it's trying to solve other ones for me, but I want to do them manually, so I'll be sure of what I'm having. So this is being automated, and if you like it, you go, but I like working manually so I can get what I actually want. So I'm going to make sure I solve everything. So I have that. I need to create a third point for my x-axis. So I think this is also x, so I'm going to bring the third point here, control and drag. Okay, so I could bring this here, and let me see. You can see my solve value is very small, it's very high, so I need to make sure I have an accurate value. This is getting even higher, which would not do me any good. So I'm having this order 50 and I don't like that value. So what I would do is to try and look for another location which I could work with. So I think I should just try here. Bring this here. This black axis, and this other one here, 26. 26. Is that okay? Let's try this top part. So basically what you do is you try as much as to get a very low value possible. So this is 15 and this is better than that. So now the thing is, the lower the value, the more accurate it's going to be, and your model will tend to appear a little accurate. So I am having 0.04, so this is good. I can manage this, I can work with this. So I'm done with my X, so I need to do for my Z axis, though it has indirectly solved my Z axis for me. So it's assuming if this is my X, this is my Y, so automatically it's solving for the Z, but I want to specify my Z, so I need to click on the line again and start specifying the Z point. So this is going to be my Z point and location. So I will need to zoom in here, pan, so that I can have a more accurate point to specify. Okay, so the next thing is I need to start specifying. So shift and click, and this is blue. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this. You can see that this is blue. So I'm going to have a copy of this, move down. So I want the copy down here. I don't want it too close to that point. Sorry about that. I'm trying as much as to be fast. I don't want this tutorial to be too long. So I guess that is why. Sorry if I'm talking too fast. Just bear with me, please. I was told that all my tutorials are too long, and I'm trying as much as not to make them long, but for this tutorial I know it will be long. I just hope I won't make it too long than I would expect. So I have the second, so I need to have a third one to work with. So I can look for one more point, I guess. Okay, so let's work with this point on this bar here. So control and drag here. So we can work with this. So let's see, the value we have is 0.03 is fine. It's fine. So we've solved the three axes. So the next thing we are going to do is to specify points. But before I specify points, I need to go back to my image, go to full image, because I tried this and messed up everything, and I forgot that I had to bring it back to full image. So everything I modeled was wrong, so I had to start all over. So now, after specifying the three axes, I need to now specify where I want the origin point to be. So that will be done using this pin. So the pin will set my origin, just like anytime I'm creating a new object, where the object will be created. So that's what the pin does. So if I click here and bring the pin here, somewhat here, so this is going to be the origin, and whenever I create a new object, the object is going to be here. This is going to be the center of the world now, or of my scene. So now that I have specified everything, and if I come back to the image, it gives me the aspect ratio of the camera that created that. So if we go back to check this information, we should have something close to this. If this has the information, the size, objects, I think it should be in detail. We have the weight. If it doesn't have, then we can just continue. Some camera have the information, like you can already see, but this does not have all the information. But we have the focal length. This is giving, this has a particular focal length of 33 millimeters. So I think it should also try as much as to give us the information about the focal length. You can see this focal length here. Alright, 35 millimeters. So by getting all this information, it try as much as to get the actual focal length used to take the shot. So if all this information were wrong, I'm going to have this focal length not accurate. So for me to even have this value, then that means I'm very close to it. I hope you understand that. So now after that, notice that if I don't have anything selected, or I don't have this tag selected, my image goes away. So for me to see the image, I have to select the tag, then the image comes back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a camera tag. So right now nothing is showing here, but if I click here and specify camera tag, it creates a tag for me and place the tag on the camera. So the first thing is, let me rename this. So this is going to be the cam tag, or cam texture rather, sorry. So what cam tag does is, this is what we're going to use to place on objects that we're going to be working on by the time we start modeling all these things. But as we are working, there will be times that I have to go out of this calibration, and we still need to have this image. So that is where this background tag comes up. So create background object. So as soon as I click on this, it creates a background object and creates a texture for it, and that texture is added to the background, BG texture. So what happens now is, even if I deselect, I still have the texture. I hope you understand. So even if I deselect from this tag, I still have the texture, because I has created the background and added this texture to it. So that is about that. So the next thing is now the fun part of it, modeling these things. So how do we start modeling? Don't forget, this is where the pin was. This is where I placed the pin. So if I create a box, notice the box is placed there. So if I scale this down, you can see that it's placed at that location. So what I'm going to do now is to model this, is to try as much as to place all these things at the corner and try and model this accurately. So now what I do is I try as much as to create a null object and place everything I'm going to be using inside the null. So what I'm going to put to the null is, I'm going to copy this camera tag, place it on the null. So what this does is that wherever I move this into this object to, the texture will always be on this object. Alright, so what we want to do now is to try and model all these things. So I'm going to bring this up here. Let me undo that. So let's scale this down, bring this bunch. So what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to get the edge. If I'm to take this box out, I'm trying to make this edge of this box to be aligned with the edge of this. So bring this back. So once I'm done with that, I can just convert it to editable form. Then I can start modeling. So if I go to the polygon mode, I can click and drag this down. Alright, don't forget, you should be in your full image. So if you go to your camera calibrator image, make sure you're in your full image. Don't forget about that. So once we have this, so the next thing is I need to bring this object up. So deselect this, go to the object. I need to bring this up so I can come out of this camera, go to the top of it, go back to the camera, then bring this top here such that it gets to that location. Then I need to move to the back. So that's how I'm going to be working. Go to the back, select the back, go back to the camera and try to set it to be in place with that. So we have that set. So the next thing is to set this back and every other thing. So let's try and make everything before we start doing the window and every other part. So let's do this wooden slab. So I'm going to bring up my knife tool. The shortcut is KL. If you hit your K, you have three options here. By the way, I'm using Cinema for the R19, so you have the three different options of knife tool. Either you want to use a plain cut, line cut, or loop. But what I want is a loop, so I'm going to hit L. So the loop cut is going to be around this surface. Click. It can be in your point mode or vertex mode. So come here, click. So you have that. So what I'm trying to do is to get an outline for the thickness of this wood. So I'm going to do the same thing here and here. Then the next thing is where this wood cuts from. So I'm going to move here. I think that is fine. So what I will do now is to go to my polygon mode, go to move, select these two polygons, then hold down Control, or I can just right click, go to extrude, then extrude them out. Alright, so but for this one, you notice is going out of place, so I can just select this one, use my move tool, move it up so that it's in the same location. This one, you can see the edge here is shifting out, so I can go to the point mode, select this point, just move the point up a little bit so that everything is aligned. So if I'm to go out of this camera, I already see what I'm building here. So you can see what I'm building, and I have this. So this doesn't really look nice yet, but once we're done modeling all these things and we'll start adding our assets, you would understand and appreciate this more. So I am going to, the next thing I'm going to do is try as much as to do the window or the back of this part. So I can start that with a plane object, make the plane orientation minus Z or plus Z, any of this, so it stands this way. Then I don't really need this minus subdivision, so I'm going to make it 1 1 and scale this down. You could just use this pin to bring this down. Okay, so if I go to move tool, I can move this such that it's behind, so it's meant to be behind that part, so I can go out of this camera and go and set this. Make sure it's touching this object here, the wall. So bring this here, make sure it touches the wall. It has to zoom into it and alright, so I have that, so I'm going to need to zoom in and bring this out a little bit so that it doesn't, okay, so that is fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert it to editable form. I don't want to scale anymore, so I will just go to edge mode, go to this part because I don't need that part, just let it go in a little bit. Then the top part of it also needs to be aligned, so I'm just eyeballing this, select this, move it up such that it's on the same level. So don't mind this, because I'm out of the camera, I want to set everything before. So since camera will not show here, so we don't really need to. If I go back to the camera, I have this. But then this is not having the texture because the plane is not in this null. You know the null hold this texture, so as soon as I bring the plane here, it has that. So let me start renaming. This is going to be the main building, so I don't lose myself. This is going to be the back wall. So for this back wall, you can notice there's a door here, so I'm going to KL loop cut to start creating a cut around. So you can see that the door ends here, this place here. So I'm going to try as much as to. So what if you're trying to get here and it's going off, just click anywhere. There's no problem with that. So you can just use your move tool. UL will do a loop select, or you could just double click on the line. It's going to select everything, so we move it close. So you double click on this also, move it in to have that. So I'm going to double click this, move it to get the frame of the door. So I need to do one at the top here, so KL, click somewhere here, and that is good. So what I'm going to do is go to my polygon mode, use my pick to select this, D for extrude, then I can extrude inwards to get the door. So I have the door in place. So now the next thing I feel we should, I think we'll do this as a last thing. So let's look at these windows. So if I go to the main building, I need to get the outline for these two windows. So I'm going to use KL for loops cut one here, another one down here, then we have another one here. We should have another one down here. So the same thing, I'm going to do that here. So because Ctrl Z, the cut is not awkward, because we are not going to see the top part of this, so I'm just going to leave that part. Select this, click on this, go to the next one. Now this is not allowing me to just click here. You can use UL for loop selection. So I have to be in my edge mode, select this, E for move, then I can move it up in place. So I've done the two, so I need to do the middle part. So KL for loop selection, select, click on this. I could just click somewhere here, so I think that is even better. So UL for loop selection in edge mode, E, then I can move this in place. This UL, select this, E will allow me to move it in place. So the same thing, UL, select this for loop selection, E changes it to move, and I can move it in place. UL, E, can move this in place. So once I'm done with that, I need to start. Okay, I need to do this other part, sorry. KL also. So click here, click here. Okay, maybe click here, click here. Okay, we've done that. So we are going to also have one more here, and that ends it. So what I'm going to do is go to my polygon mode, move to start selecting those. Alright, so I think I need to KL. I need to create one more cut here. Yes, I cannot move to then polygon mode. Hold down shift and start clicking. Shift and click. shift click, shift click, shift click, shift click. Now this is not allowing me click. I can hide it by Alt D to temporarily hide that. Shift click, then I have that click. Since everything is down, then Alt D will bring it back. Then I can press D on my keyboard to change to extrude, then extrude this inwards. So once I have that, it's fine, I'm good. But if you notice for this, if I go to edge mode, you can notice this is where this top part ends. So what I did was to select this edge, so I can start from here. Okay, maybe here. Alt D to put them out. This and this. Then Alt D brings it back. Then I can just move them in and sideways. So I'll do the same thing here. This Alt D hides. Shift click, Alt D brings it back, then take it back a little bit sideways. Then I think this is fine. Shift click, then break it down a little bit sideways. So that's how you do the window. So if I'm to go out of this, you can already see the window being created and everything looks good and fine. And that, so the next thing is to do the railing for the balcony. So we could just work with a cube, go to object mode, so model mode rather, then scale this. So let's start from here. So move this out, bring this down, scale this down a bunch, and use the top dot to bring it up. Bring this here and a little bit out. I still need to bring this backwards a little bit until we feel this is cool and fine. So this is meant to be down here. So once I'm done, I'll bring this here. So that is for that. So for this middle one, just hold down Control, drag this here, and I will start manipulating this point so that I can have this accurate value. Then select this and Control and drag this here. So this might be too fat for that, so we can bring this in. So that's for those two, for those three. You can already see them here. So we start doing the horizontal bars for all these things. So let's go back to the camera. So what I will do is select one of these, so preferably the middle one, copy its control and drag up, then rotate it 90 degrees, then stretch this out a bunch, then move, start moving this in place. So it's one here, control drag, one here. This might be too fast, so I don't know if you can see this because of the recording software, but it's kind of hard to see though, so you will need to look at this carefully while you're working. So I have the last one to do. Then I have the one at the top. Then if I move out on my camera, I need to make sure everything is in place, and I think everything is in place. So I just need to bring this down. Okay, I think that is okay. So I've done that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to all the cubes that makes up the railings, I'm going to group them Alt G and call this railing. So I don't really need to create every other thing anymore. So I will just have a copy of this railing, then move it up. Should be in place, and that sets us that. So I have my two railings set. So I might need to go into this place to manually set this other railing. You can see this is where this is meant to be, and it should move. Okay, I think this is correct, and if it's wrong, you would know. Even while you're not in the camera, you would know. So just like moving this, you see all these things. I think this is the correct location for this bar. I'm trying to look at that bar. So for this other one, I will try as much as to see if I can get the correct. So this is it. So that's how you do that railing. And now the last thing I'm going to look at is this top part of it. So I don't really need this top because I don't need that part. So what I'm going to do is to try and use one of these horizontal bars for the railing and have a copy of this, then bring it up. So what we are doing is, we know we can't really get that position, so we can just zoom out. Let's zoom into that part, then we can try as much as to get this bar ourselves. So this is the horizontal, this is the vertical. I'm looking for the vertical, and the horizontal comes in back. I think this looks nice for that part. So I would control and drag this inwards. So I may go out of this camera, to zoom into that and try and see if I can put this in place. So I think this looks nice. So remaining this other one, so I can just copy this and rotate just like I did the other one. 90, shows you. Make sure I have 90 rotation E, and move this in place until I can get this accurately positioned. Then try and do the scaling of it so it's not getting here. I need to scale everything up until I have that. Okay, so I'm sorry, this is how we have to do this because I can't just but be precise about this and be accurate for me to have a good result in this calibration. So I think I need one more, and I will call it done for this. So I may need to go into the camera to see the position of this. So I think this is fine. I think the height is much. I can bring this down. Yeah, this looks good. So I have this, I have that, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I can group this also. Alt G. Then what do I call this? I don't know. What should I call this? Top design. Wood. Or top wood design, top design. Alright, so I think that's it. That's pretty much it. So I'm done with this object that I've created. So if I render, I have this image. Can already see that. If I render, I have the image and it looks nice. So how do I now know if what I'm doing is correct and I can interact with what I have here? So if I'm to create a sphere, you can see that the sphere is already interacting with this cube. E is interacting with the building. You can see, which we all know is an image file and nothing but an image file, but now we can interact with this. So let's try and see if we can cast a shadow on this building and also have reflection on this object. So right now if I render, it won't cast shadow. Now there is a technique here. Now for you to cast shadow, you have to add in a light. So if I'm to add infinite light, the infinite light is going towards this direction. Now this image is very helpful in the sense that it tells you the direction of the shadow. So that will tell you the direction of the light. So now for me to get the direction of the shadow accurately, I need to rotate this light parallel to this so that I can get this. So I can just eyeball. So as I'm doing this, I have this. So I can also bring this a little bit here. So what I'm trying to do is just make the light parallel to this shadow being cast on this. So I'll go to the light, make it area shadow, and that's pretty much it for that. We don't really need to do another thing there. So if I render, let's see what we're going to get. We get the render, but we don't get shadow being cast on this. So why is that happening? Sorry, why is that happening? That even though I've set for this area shadow, we still do not get shadow being cast on this, and we know that this is interacting. Now this, I found the solution to this is just to create a new tag. Don't forget, on our object we added the camera texture. Now if you open into the camera texture, the only thing we have is just luminance. So luminance doesn't receive shadow. So what I do is to have a duplicate of this, then call this object or building asset, then double click the building asset. I can now have a copy of this and add it into the color channel. So this color channel will now serve as what will receive the shadow, but then we don't want this to be too bright, so I can just come to this luminance, bring this down, then also bring this down a little bit so you can see the interaction. So if I'm to take it up, it's going to be 100% lumen. The illumination will be 100%. So we are bringing it down a little bit, maybe somewhat 20, 30. And if we are to render now, okay, we have to add this to the object that we have. So if you are to render, you should have the shadow have an effect on this object. So that's how that is being done. So once you are done with this, once you've gotten to this stage, I think you are pretty much okay with everything, and you're good with that. So what else we need to do is you can start adding your assets and all that to this. You can have interaction. So now I want to have a feedback in my viewport, so I will go to option, make sure shadow is on, so I can always have feedback in my viewport. So whatsoever I add, I should have feedback. So what I want to do is I want to add a tree somewhere here, so I can have feedback on this building. So I'll go to my content browser, or I have a plugin, forester. So I'm going to bring in the forest tree. Then I have that tree, so I can bring this down a little bit, and this might be too much. So if I go to this tree, I can go to the parameter and reduce the scale or the tree size. Oh, sorry, that's the seed. I need to look for the size. Okay, the tree size, and I need to go to the library. So this is not for those of us who don't have that. So but like I said in the beginning of the tutorial, if you have your assets, you can start adding your assets and try and see what you have. I think I'm looking for the one that will have a leaf for me to work with. I think this should do. Hope this doesn't hang up on me. And if this doesn't work, I could just delete the anyway. So I can search for 3 in my Cinema 4D. So Cinema 4D has its own 3. So I can just look for any of this tree and add them here. So maybe I want to bring this, double click, that tree is added into this scene. Then I can bring this down, bring it out, so you can see the interaction on this building. And this is so wonderful, and I can't really explain. This is you bring in an image. So let me go out of this scene. You bring in an image which you don't know how it was shot, you don't know where it was taken, and you turn it into your own, and you get something wonderful, something you can't even imagine that. Okay, and that is the beauty of camera calibration, and you already see this information here. So I'm going to bring in another object. So let's say I have flower. I have a flower vase that I can bring into the scene. So I want to add some flowers here. So I can come here, bring in this. I want to add in a flower vase here to scale this down. So whatever you have, whatsoever you have, you can just bring it into the scene and you're good. So I'm going to add this here. You can see the interaction of the shadow on this, and this is so, I'm like, I don't understand how it's possible. I don't think without camera calibration it will be possible to get this kind of a thing, and thanks to these 3D softwares that they thought about this whole thing and brought these things, and now we can add so many things. And the thing about this is that you can actually have a whole lot of idea is you can bring in your actor. If you are into music industry, you're into music, and you can create your own scene. Look for you can look for an image that you like and you feel okay, maybe you should just bring your character and add your character there, and you can have it and have your shots and everything looks cool and realistic. People feel that is a real character, but then it's just what you've made up yourself. So I think I'm going to try and put in a flower here and bring in an image asset or a 3D asset of a character, and I will end the tutorial here. So let me bring this up. I think you should look for a rose flower. Don't know which. Let's just go with this. So let's bring this out. Could scale this down. Okay, scaling won't work actually. So you have to go and reduce the size of it. So yes, I can bring this here, move it up, then go back and change the size once more. Bring it up until I'm fine with what I have. I think this should come sideways a little bit. I think this is okay here, and let me go for something else. Human. Okay, you could just go to some of these, and I think let's just end it here and see what we can have. So if I'm to bring this here, I can bring this closer here, then have a copy of this and move it down, then maybe rotate to add in difference into that. And so let's try and see what we can get for our render. Then before we start doing the render, I'm going to create a sky object. We already have a background object, so we want to create a sky object and see the interaction with this ball and all that. So I'm going to create a sky object and bring the camera texture. We could just have another copy. I want to have one for difference. So this is going to be sky. Double click on that, go to the illumination, make sure you have area light on the sky, then add it to the sky. So we don't want the sky to show. So now for us to have this information right, we need to change that sky to frontal. So we have frontal, everything looks right. But then if you look at your background, the background has some information to it, which this doesn't have, I think. Or we could just delete this first, go to the background, copy it here. So we have the background, then we can bring the sky and add it on top of it, and we are good. So this sky, I can just right click on the sky, go to semaphore data, compositing, then hide from camera. We don't want to see it from camera. So I'm going to create another texture on material, and for the ball, so I'm going to maybe make this a greenish color. I want it to be reflective, so I'm going to delete this, create a GGX reflectance, then go to the Fresnel, make it this, and a little bit of roughness, and I think this is fine, so make this additive, and maybe this is good. We could just stop this, close that, and add that to our sphere. So we have the sphere. You can already see the interaction with this. So let's go to our render setting and try to do something. So I'm going to add an ambient occlusion. Just want to do a fast render, and so light mapping, and I'm doing fairly low render because of time, and I think this is taking long now. So this is going to be physical render. Then make this automatic. Subsurface should go off. Make this 3. Make this 10, and that's it. So I am going to come to this place, half this value divided by 2, since it is already locked. So I'm going to render this and pause, then come back and see what we have after the whole thing. So render, then I'm going to get back when the render is done.